We lost 90% of our clients within 6 days. When I had done the research and kind of thought this was a good idea, I then thought to myself, how am I going to do it?
So as a leader, how do you help and manage your teams and their levels of stress?
That's a really good question because it's hard. I said, Ayla, look at mummy's calendar. I said, I have no time. I said, I'm so sorry. So we literally went down together and we came back up together because it was important because so many agencies just wiped people.
Yeah.
But where were they going to go? What were they going to do?
Welcome to Sheconomy, the podcast dedicated to celebrating the rising influence of women in today's economy. I'm your host, Sophia, and in each episode, we dive deep into the stories of successful female entrepreneurs, offering valuable insights and inspiration for the next generation of leaders. Today, we have a special guest whose journey went from the fashion industry to PR entrepreneurship and has been nothing short of remarkable. Rosa Bullock, the founder of SOCIATE Communications, a PR guru and a passionate advocate for female empowerment. With her extensive experience working with renowned brands and a commitment to social impact, Rosa's story is sure to inspire and enlighten. Rosa, can you share a pivotal moment or experience that motivated you to start your own PR agency?
So for me, Sophia, the thing was when I got to the region 11 years ago, there were all of the big agencies. So I used to call them the big boys. What I didn't see in research and also kind of getting to know people here was a tailored approach, but also that kind of family run style. So when I had done the research and kind of thought this was a good idea, I then thought to myself, how am I going to do it? It wasn't that easy back then to set up a business. Once I'd kind of sorted all of that out, we went through and looked at it and said, well, how do we stand out? And for me, the biggest thing was FaceTime. Spending time with clients, fully understanding what they needed, and then being with them, hand-holding along the way and always adding value. Mm-hmm. Again, with the big agencies, there was a lot of tick boxes. So here's your deliverables list, this is what we'll do, and we'll charge you extra for more. Whereas for me, it was all about, what else can I do for you?
Yeah, so a more personal approach.
Yeah, 100%. And it stands the test of time. It's still what we do now. FaceTime is still one of our values and always will be for me personally, but also definitely in business.
And do you think things have changed now since sort of 11 years ago in the PR kind of landscape?
Yeah, 100%. From a business setup point of view, there's a lot more freelancers, a lot more smaller agencies. And I think certainly post-COVID, everyone has realised that the collaborative approach works. So what's wonderful is we're seeing agencies work with agencies. There's not that treading on toes, really. It really is a teamwork. When I look at how the industry has changed, the rise of digital, the influencers, I call it the wonderful world of bloggers and influencers because they're a pain in the bum, most of them. However, that has really changed what people look for and also what's going to get them results. It's wonderful to be in a newspaper or in a magazine, but ultimately, if you think about that, you see a dress you like, for example. You're going to go, oh, I must look on XYZ website. Yeah. And then you're going to go and feed the dog or put the kids' dinner out or whatever. And then you're going to forget about it and think, where did I see that great dress? The disjoint there, you see it online, you see it on an influencer, you click straight through, you have the ability to buy straight away. So that kind of speed and the results that actually clients can track from what we do for them has changed a lot.
So what advice would you give women who are considering setting up their own business but are a bit hesitant in taking their first step? Firstly,
I'd say do it. It's definitely the best thing I ever did. Having come from a family of entrepreneurs, I knew the hard work that was going to be needed. However, certainly for anybody with a family, as an example, the flexibility that working for yourself gives you, second to none. That being said, I think I closed the laptop at 11 o'clock last night, but I did collect my daughter from school. I did partake in a baking exercise yesterday afternoon. So I'd say do it. I'd also say be prepared to work crazy hours. Yeah. There were days in the early days when I had maybe 2 hours sleep and I got up and did it again, especially when I was juggling multiple clients before the kind of team grew. So be prepared to work. This region, so the Middle East or certainly Dubai, work hard and play hard. In our industry, so marketing, comms, every event that my clients have, we're expected to be there, of course. The events that they have that we're not to do with, we're still expected to be there. But then you also have to get up early and network the next morning. So that kind of approach is needed, the work hard, play hard. Also be prepared for the challenges. One of my biggest things in business and life actually is reflection. So I'm a big one to reflect on why something's gone wrong, and equally why it's gone right, and learn from it. We tend not to make the same mistake twice, or I hope so, kind of. So I think that's a good one. Reflect on what you've done, be open to criticism, be open to advice, and learn from it.
No, good. And I can kind of, relate to a lot of those points as well. And do you think as your journey, progresses in entrepreneurship, I would say you become more resilient through those challenges that you face. Would you say that there's anything that someone new could do better at the beginning from your experience, or is it just the experiences will kind of help you along the way?
I come back to values with that. Could someone do it differently or better? Yeah, 100%. I always say that I run my business with a heart on the sleeve. Commercially, does that work? No, most of the time it really doesn't. So certainly having being more abreast of the finances and that thought process in the early days would have been better. That being said, I equally love helping people. So we did a lot of stuff to start with small businesses, which of course I had to do and loved doing because no one knew who I was. Now I'm lucky I work with much bigger businesses that will give post-dated checks and actually pay on the day they say they're going to pay. But in the early days, they didn't know me. So I did a lot with small businesses, so I could have been more commercially astute there. But then if I thought it was a great idea and they said, well, that's my budget, I tend to go, oh, come on, let's do this. Let's see where we can take you. So definitely the running it a little bit differently from a commercial sense would have been smarter, maybe. But then would it have been true to me? Probably not.
So you mentioned that you come from a family of entrepreneurs. Tell me a little bit more.
So my mum had her own business since I was kind of 5. So I was very used to, I think my old bedroom got turned into the office of the house, but she would get up at 3:00 in the morning and check what payments had come in and so forth. There was always paperwork all over the dining room table. So I knew that style of entrepreneurship. And I also knew the flexibility it gave her. And I worked for her for a period of time. So when I actually graduated, I fell in love with a boy and moved out of London and went against everything I ever wanted. We've all got one of those stories, I'm sure. And I moved back and I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, obviously I'll work for Mum. I don't need to go to a job interview. She'll employ me. Of course she will. Of course she did. But then she seemed to go on more holidays. And at the time she had a childcare business and a health and beauty and kind of salon and stuff. So I found myself hiring and firing people at 21 years old, cleaning wax off the floor because the cleaner didn't turn up. Did another education in childcare, did an MVQ3 in play work. So I'd done all of that knowing what it was about and juggling about a million things. Then I did go back into kind of employment, if you like. And then when I was making the move back towards this, my dad was like, the flexibility it gives you, you'll never beat it. And it's true. I don't track how many days holiday I have a year, but I worked till 11 o'clock at night going kind of back into that. It was interesting, but it taught me a lot. But my family have an unbelievable work ethic. My dad is 71 this year and still works and still happily works. My mom pretty much does as well, although she does slightly different things these days. And I think that's really important.
So would you say you've picked up any of your mum's entrepreneurial traits?
Yep, for sure. Definitely. Determination. The road wasn't easy for my mom, and I don't think it's easy for any entrepreneur. But my mom was always determined and always striving for more. So I think that's certainly something that sticks with me. And she still is today at 72 years old. She's like, what's next for me? And wants to go back into employment. Would love to come out here and work if she could. So she's still very driven and determined. Nice.
And do you think your daughter watching you and seeing your work ethics, do you think that's going to influence her, or is it already influencing her? I know she's quite young, but
yeah, she's nearly 7, and I think it already is. She sees me juggling, of course, 100%. But I will often say to her, Ada, the reason Mommy works is so we can do this. And that's not just from a monetary point of view. It's usually from a time or travel. I will work very hard one week if I know we're off to the UK to see family, because I'll know that I'll only probably do 3 hours a day when I'm there. or 3 hours a day while she's awake, if you like. But also I have a nice story with that. So when she was FS1, so nursery school in the UK, like that kind of age, the teacher gave me a picture, and it was me, apparently. But it was what she'd said, and the teacher had written it. This is mummy sitting in her office on her big brown chair working with clients. So, and that, I mean, she'd have been 3 or 4 at that age. So she already knew that, and that's what she told her teacher. So she's always interested. And actually only yesterday she said, "What do you do, mummy?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "What did you do today?" And I told her step by step. And I said, "Now we're sat here in the car on the way back from school." She said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I told her I was coming here. So and she's like, oh. So yeah, it definitely does. And I hope it gives her the same grounding and work ethic that I had from my family.
I'm sure it will. And so do you tend to take Ada to the office with you? Does she often visit?
Yes, she does. She loves coming. So I pick her up from school and she's like, "What are we doing now?" And if I haven't got anything to do, I'll be like, "We're going to the office." We call her the CEO. So a lot of the marketing materials, certainly in the early days, had a picture of her sat at the desk. But now she gets in there and just causes havoc. One of the teams sit on like the exercise ball, so that goes around the office. Smita she'll like look at Smita and she's like, "Do you want to go down and get sweets?" They go down to Zoom together, and I'm like, I think less work gets done when she's there, but she loves it, and she likes to understand. She likes to know the team. Valencia's been away for a bit, and she came back yesterday, and she's like, "But what does she look like?" And I showed her a picture. She's like, "Oh, I remember her." So she's very involved. So that she doesn't think I'm taken away from her, I guess. I run a family culture. I like that style.
Nice. Yeah. I think it's nice to have the kids involved and the kids to come and see exactly what you do and what the environment's like.
Yeah.
100%.
Even if she takes over.
So how do you maintain a healthy balance between sort of family, work life, would you say?
I run an incredibly strict calendar. So exercise is in there, and it's Rosa unavailable, and it's in red. I love colour coding things. Nice. Travel time's in there. Literally Ada collection from school, everything like that is in the calendar. So hopefully, or the team and also myself, I respect my own time. That's one. And also I try when I come back from work, usually, if I can, the phone goes away and there's kind of 2 hours where I'm a little bit MIA. But then she goes to bed and I continue working. So I try to be quite strict with that. I hate sitting on my phone when she's around, unless she wants to order something off Amazon, which is a lot of the time. So the strict calendar is definitely the way forward, and I'll never miss anything. So I send all of the school things and make sure I'm at all of them. They had like parents coming in to read a book, and there's a different parent every week, and they used to get clues as to who it was. I said to the teacher, I said, "Can you make me the last one?" Because I had lots on. I looked through the calendar the whole term. Every day, she's like, "Is it going to be you this week?" I think I'd know if it was you, though, because, I don't know, this person really likes cars because they get clues. Anyway, the last week was, my clues that I gave were tall, ginger, and likes shopping in Zara and eating cherry tomatoes. Right. And the day before, she's like, "It's you, isn't it?" And I went, "No." I said, "Ada, look at mummy's calendar." I said, I have no time. I said, "I'm so sorry. So sorry." You should have seen her face when I walked in. So I won't miss something. I'll go on the school trips, despite the fact that I think, "Oh my goodness, I've got to go to," I don't know where we went, some farm for the whole day. And I was like, this is really not a good time. I'll make sure I do those things.
That's amazing, because you can tend to get kind of work your way into a position where you're constantly thinking about work and constantly, and you have a bit of guilt normally, but you know, the fact that you're actually having a calendar with things in there and sticking to it and being available for these things, like trips and things like that, is amazing, because I mean that's what they actually remember, whether you were there.
I'm a big believer in time. The biggest thing you can give is time. That being said, I think I managed to do it for her better than I do my friends and probably my family. My mum was out a couple of weeks ago, and she was kind of talking to me, and she said, "You look like you're having about 12 conversations." And I was like, "I am up here. It's all going on." Whereas with Ada, I managed to be like, right. I mean, I was playing not Snakes and Ladders, Twister on the balcony the other day. And I was just playing Twister. My phone must have rang 5 times. I didn't even think about it because that was her time. Yeah. So it's easier with her because I am quite strict with myself with it.
So Rosa, PR is all about communication. How do you nurture these partnerships and relationships?
It's a really good question, actually, especially in this region, because it's so transient. I think one of the biggest things for me is making sure that you as an individual or your business stands out. So when we look at the amount of kind of blanket messaging that goes on in LinkedIn, blanket messaging that you receive in your inbox, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Dear Sirs is my least favourite email. I don't even read past Dear Sirs. And I'm a big believer in replying to every message. But Dear Sirs, you've absolutely, like my name's on the website. If you've got my email, it's there. So I think one of the biggest things is standing out. So certainly from a PR point of view and the way the team work, and my kind of advice to interns and so forth that start with me, I'm like, the wonderful world of the web and social media, you can find out about someone unless they're off the grid, which is unlikely in our industry as well. Yeah. So find out if they went to Cyprus. If they went to Cyprus on holiday, make a mental note and think to ask them that next time you reach out to them. So make it relatable, authentic, but relatable. Or if they've just had a child or they've just had a birthday, make it there and make it known that you know that. And a great example actually yesterday, I don't do this for all clients, don't get me wrong, but I happened to see my client's name come up on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. It's his birthday. I was like, I know something nice I can do. If I'm allowed to say it, sent my assistant to the bottle shop. We'll call it that. So go and get a nice bottle. I've just written a card, collect it from me, take it down and give it. Like random acts of kindness, things like that. And it's about that. And that's totally, I don't do it for everyone. I saw it. So I was like, jump on it. Yep. Remember where people have been, help as well. Really help people. If you can help someone else, it never, ever goes unnoticed. So I will always help people where I can. One of my team actually during, it was kind of during COVID, just the start of it, her building went up in flames. I put on a couple of different groups. If anyone has things to donate, please do. Mariam got so much stuff. I used to have a double garage, and when I say it was taller than me, with boxes, so we weren't able only to help Mariam, we then helped the whole tower. It took obviously a great deal of time and manpower and everything. We went around, collected things, but that level of kind of relationship and the strength that Mariam doesn't work for me anymore. She now lives in Canada. It's amazing, but she'll never forget what I did. And I haven't done it for that reason. It's because I want to help and care, but bringing it back round.
I think that's a really important point. And again, going back to a more personal approach, actually caring, because a lot of businesses can become very transactional. Yeah. They're all about the commercial aspect. And I think to stand out, you need to have that personal kind of element and make people feel the way that you've just said.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure you've had on LinkedIn some of the, I'm really impressed by all the great things you're doing at SOCIATE. Not being facetious, but I really like replying and go, please do tell me what you're impressed with. Because that is a copy paste. And so many people are using it, and how people can't see that. I'd love to know the results they get actually on that from like a tracking point of view, because it's not right. Whereas, I read an article about you. It was amazing. I picked up the XYZ. It takes 2 seconds to make it personal and keep it authentic, because you've obviously want to reach out to them for something. It's not always just business.
Amazing and good tip there. So I've heard being a PR manager is one of the most stressful professions in the world. What do you think?
I would totally agree with you. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that, but any PR professional would agree. And I think it's whether you're working in-house with a brand, the emphasis that's put on the results that we have to get is unbelievable. If you don't get enough people to event or footfall's low for the weekend, it's the marketing PR department. It's a problem. Equally, when I look at it from an agency point of view, every client that we work with thinks we only work with them. Yeah. I love you all clients, by the way, if you're watching this. However, the world revolves around that particular client, especially at important times. So like when we look at the run up to an event, oh my goodness me. And it all has to be done right now. We will get requests from current clients, new clients. We want to run an event next week. Can you help us? My answer is no. Used to be, how can we pull this together? We need a good run up to an event. We need time to do things. PR takes time. Yeah. I always say kind of in the people, I'll do a month with you, not a month return, a month. And I'll say, no, you won't see the results in a month. 3 to 6 months, you see some good results and the wheels start to turn, the engine's going. I have different phrases I use for it, but it's not instant.
Yeah.
And also it's not that trackable. Unless you're going to ask every person that comes into your shop, into your restaurant, how did you hear about us? Then you'll get a good idea. But you might have seen it in multiple places. Your friend might have told you, you saw it in one of the magazines, you saw an influencer went there. When you're actually asked there and then, oh, I don't know, I think my friend told me. Well, actually, that doesn't then attribute back to the PR professional's job. So it's quite hard in that sense and stressful. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. And I think you've just touched on that, but in this part of the world, in Dubai, everything is now, which adds extra stress to, I think, any profession, but something like yours is obviously one of the ones that are kind of pulled in last minute. And I was going to ask you, and you've just said, so it takes a while before you start to build momentum, I guess. It's not going to happen with one, event or whatever that, you're going to make a major difference. You might do, but...
There are other lovely stories where a client will say to me, oh, this new customer's come on board. They saw me in Gulf News.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. And how much did you earn from that? And I love asking the question that might tell me. And I'll be like, then remember how much you pay me on retainer. Like, and the results then can be life-changing from one thing. Other than that, though, it does take time. It takes time to kind of build the momentum, and also it needs consistency. So clients can't pick it up and drop it off. And actually we're approaching the summer and we're going to pause for summer. It's the worst thing you could possibly do because the momentum's lost, and especially in the busy industries that we have here, someone else will sweep in and they will do a consistent approach. So it needs consistency, and we're the first people in the firing line normally. It also always makes me laugh on a Friday. Every client needs everything by end of day Friday. Everything. And then you kind of facilitate it all. And then on Monday morning, they ask you the same questions they asked you on Friday. Because they've all gone and had a lovely weekend where we've been sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, we've got all this stuff to do. Oh no, they were at brunch and at the beach with the family. So yeah, back to the stress. It's stressful. It certainly is.
So talking about the stress side of things, how do you cope with stress at work?
Muddle through. No, for me, it's exercise. Always, I have to kind of carve out time for that. Exercise makes me a much happier person, and also the kind of release of stress, I would say. Also clear planning and transparency is really important when talking to clients. And I will turn down clients, and if they want to do the event next week, we're not the right agency for you. We also have very clear comms with our clients with regards to meeting minutes. And as a boss, they go within 24 hours without fail. They have to. So if it's on a Friday afternoon, the meeting minutes of that meeting need to go to the client before they close off for the day. We send weekly wrap-up emails. We do the monthly reports. The more transparent the comms are, the easier it is to deal with the stress because it's all in black and white somewhere. But for me personally, it's the gym. It has to be the gym. And I absolutely love it, which is good.
So as a leader, how do you help and manage your teams and their levels of stress?
So that's a really good question because it's hard, especially with the kind of younger people coming into the profession. I'll often say, are you sure you want to work in an agency? Because in-house is easier. But we do morning huddles with a whole team, even those that work remotely in other parts of the world. We make sure everyone's on the same page. And for me personally, going back to kind of helping people, I love nurturing people. I'm a mother, I guess. So I'll often say, and I said it yesterday, I had a meeting cancel and I just put on our team chat. I was like, right, I've gained an hour. Who can I help? And I'm not adverse to going back to basics of finding influencers or writing a press release. I'm not that good at it anymore, maybe. So I'm just like, how can I help? What can I do to support? And I think, and I hope all of the team know that they can come to me with things. It's very rare that I'll kick back. I might ask them a question rather than give them the answer, but I'm always kind of there for them. As a team as well, we try to, even with client events, we'll say, right, who from other account teams want to come along? A lot of what we do is quite fun. And we used to, which we must get back to actually, we used to do a lot of kind of team outings. We've had quite a big shift in the team over the last kind of 18 months, but that was one of the core things. I mean, Samita has worked with me for 6 years. She went away and came back, and she came back because she loved the culture and the approach that's taken. I'll let them go with things. I'll let them run their ideas, but I'm always there to help them. So I'd like to think that despite it's stressful, the culture that we have knows that there's someone else to help. Like the social team will help the PR department. Our copywriter will help all departments, not only in work, but in ideas and creative things. So yeah, it's a team effort.
Yeah, and they're all there to support each other, and ultimately you're there with an open door policy by the sound of things. So I heard during COVID that you managed to keep all your staff working and happy, I guess. And
we were happy.
How did you do that?
Yeah, that was an interesting year, wasn't it? Yeah, of course, I remember it vividly. The 23rd of March was the first day we all worked from home, and we lost 90% of our clients within 6 days. I sat there with a list of clients and a highlighter, and I wasn't highlighting the jobs I was done. I was highlighting the conversations going, Rosa, we need to pause. So along with that, losing 90%, of course, no one paid another penny as soon as it started. Anything backdated, yes, we got a lot of it later, or a fair bit of it later, I should say. But I was left with, well, what do we do? We're all working from home. So I just drilled into transparency. And I literally was like, if you want to see the bank accounts, I'm more than happy to show you. Like this is the situation we sit in. But equally, I knew that making people redundant, I couldn't pay them their gratuity. Cancelling visas, where were they going to go? What were they going to do? That didn't help them either. Would ultimately cancel medical insurance as well and things like that. So I made a conscious decision and went against what a lot of people told me to do. And as a team, we went down together. And we came back up together, salaries-wise. We literally got to the point where I was like, who else can live on less, pretty much? Like, as blunt as it was, myself included, of course. So we literally went down together and we came back up together. And that core team, post-COVID, we started to do well again. And the core team really stayed together for at least another year of us. And we did things like... I remember the one day we did we did the plank challenge. So we were creating loads of cool content and still very visible on social media. So the plank challenge, obviously everyone had to do the plank and time it. So the social team brought it together. You'll have to find it. It's way back in the archives, but I did nearly 6 minutes.
Wow.
But so you got this kind of content, and that was today's activity. And then we'd do something else that like drawing activities, but we'd put it all live on socials. So we were completely active and engaged. And whilst I said to everyone, like, you're not on full salaries if you don't want to work full days, everyone was still working full days. Then we'd have virtual lunches and still very much involved in everything. But I couldn't let them go because I wasn't letting them go to anywhere else. I wasn't letting them go anywhere better, and I certainly didn't want to let them go somewhere worse. So yeah, stuff like, but people and culture is so important to me. And again, those kind of acts, still to this day, people talk about it because it was important, because so many agencies just wiped people.
Yeah.
But where were they going to go? What were they going to do?
That's amazing. And I love the go down together and come back up together. That's an amazing approach. So Rosa, we're running out of time, but for one last bit of value, what advice would you give young entrepreneurs who are thinking of setting up and going into their own journey?
From an entrepreneurial stance, I would say get as much experience as you can across different industries, because you're left, or you are at the beginning, with every kind of vertical of your business to do, HR, accounts, all of those things. So get as much experience as you can. If you know what you want to do from an entrepreneurial point, you know your industry, you still need to tap into those others. Having said that, if you're kind of coming out of university and going, great, I studied geography, and then you're thinking, which way do I go? Again, get as much experience as possible. Internships, they're so important, and the value that you can understand exactly what you don't want to do for a start, but equally it might be something completely different that you end up falling in love with. So get as much experience, make sure it's on CVs, learn from others, because you're not going to be able to employ an accountant on day one.
So thank you, Rosa, for coming on. You've given us some amazing insights and tips, and I hope our audience got some great value from this episode.
Thank you so much, Sophia. It's been great to be with you.